I would say correctly, and the family taking care of people and looking out for somebody is their number one um, character trait, I would say.
Hello everyone, so welcome back to Filipina's Wonder channel, and for today's vlog, we're going to bring you to Bobby's Angel for interview.
And of course, Bobby's is here in the hospital. So what is the name of the hospital, Bobby?
St. Vincent's General Hospital. I had to look outside the window and read this sign on the wall. St. Vincent's General Hospital. What town is this in, babe?
Do you know what is town?
So this town is John Street. Yeah, so it is very near where a lot of hospitals.
Yeah.
So that's why it is very, there's a lot of people going out here, like especially they're having medical problems. So what is the reason why you're here in the hospital?
I have a bed sore that I received probably about 5 months ago. I went to the hospital for urinary tract infection, and they were trying to transfer me from a wheelchair because the gurney wouldn't fit into the apartment. We live in a condominium in Mactan, Newtown, so they couldn't get the gurney up there. They had to put me in a wheelchair, and then they tried to transfer me from the wheelchair to the gurney in the parking garage. And when they did that, they were picking me up by my pants. They dropped me on the edge of the gurney, so I landed on the metal instead of the cushion part, and it caused a bruise on my right ass cheek, and that wound up turning into a bed sore. And I had it debrided. They tried to clean out all the dead tissue, but then another one started, and I didn't want an infection to get real bad, so I decided to check into St. Vincent's, and it was 28,000 pesos to get 28,000 pesos. 5,000 it's about 5,000 pesos per $100. So you got to do the math. What is that?
500, like
Yeah, like
500
five times 5 is 25. 5 times 6 is 30. So like 550 bucks to get in the door. And so here I am with my beautiful sister-in-law Ray LeBarn, my beautiful wife Isla, and so it's not the worst thing ever. Think about it. If you're in the hospital with two beautiful Filipino women, and then the nurses, this morning all the student nurses were in here, and a couple of them were single, so it's not a good place to find a girl if you don't have to come to the hospital. But anyway.
Can I interview your wife, like your experience as being a wife of Bobby?
My experience. Yeah, like if you're going to the hospital, it's not easy. Example, if it's emergency, you need to fill up a form. Like it's
A lot of paperwork, right?
yeah, a lot of paperwork you need to fill up before you can. And then you need to like. It's not like if you're done on the paperwork and then they will, because like the room is not. They don't have like a lot of rooms for the hospital like that, and then like the hospital here is always like full, or I don't know.
We were down in the emergency room for about a day and a half,
Yeah.
almost 2 days down in the
ER.
in the ER before the room became available. So a lot of hospitals in the Philippines are crowded. Or you'll get in a vehicle and get transported to a hospital, and they'll say, no, it's the one hospital we went to. What hospital was that? The doctors are Changhua.
Chongwa.
We waited there for 8 hours. We waited for
Yeah.
8 hours in the emergency room, 8 or 9 hours. Then the head nurse said, listen, I'm going to tell you the truth. It's better just leave and go to another hospital because you might be stuck down here for another day. So now you're talking like 19 hours sitting in a plastic chair in the ER with like 20 or 30 other people. So thank God we got in here and got the room.
So that's why you choose this hospital rather than
the reason I choose this hospital was the doctor that cleaned out the old bed sore with the scalpel. It's called debriding, or I forget the correct medical
Yeah, breathing.
correct metal debridement. He came to my condo with the surgical kit and cut out all the dead tissue on my right ass cheek and got it all cleaned up. And then my wife, Isla, she packs it with something called Aqua Silver. It's got to heal from the bottom up, and then on the perimeter of the wound, she uses a product called Duoderm, and then puts a waterproof bandage on top of the whole thing, and cleans it out with
No, the first is the NSS solution,
that's a saltwater solution,
and then second for the Prantusan.
and Prontosan is some other kind of, it's like a mild soap cleaner. She fills up a syringe and like irrigates it and cleans it out, repacks it, and then, but the problem is a second one started, a second bed sore. So now they got me on, if you could show the IV drip. This is like old school. In the United States, you would have like an IV pump that gives you every so many seconds you could turn it up faster or slower. But this all works on gravity, so it's old school in the Philippines. Like a lot of the equipment's old, and they wanted to like run up the bill. See, I'm paralyzed. This is what people don't know. If you watch our channel, Bobby's Angels, you'll find out that I'm in a wheelchair. They wanted to have an anesthesiologist. They keep trying to get me to sign a paper. This is the thing when you come to the hospital. Make sure you read all the papers, because once you sign that, it stated that there was going to be a female anesthesiologist in the operating room, and I was going to be charged for her services. I had to talk to her this morning and say, listen, I can't feel anything from my waist area down. It feels like it's asleep right here, and then a little bit lower, it just goes totally numb. So you could pretty much like amputate my foot, and I wouldn't feel anything. So the area that's being operated on, I don't need any anesthesia. The first time they cleaned out the bed sore, he just used a local anesthetic, Novocaine, and I didn't feel anything. So no sense getting charged, because if you're an American or a foreigner, this is what they'll do. They have modern equipment, and they'll say, oh, here he comes, and they'll hook you up to like a blood pressure machine, and then they'll say, oh, your blood pressure was high, sir. We had to hook you up to this special machine. So that's not for everybody. And then when you see how much it costs, somebody's got to pay for that machine. So you got to do your medical homework if you know what's going on with your health. I've always had high blood pressure, so I'm like, nah, you don't need to hook me up to that machine. I already know what the problem is.
So may I ask you that, what are the differences, the hospital here in Philippines and the hospital there in America?
The hospitals in America
From the
are,
cost bill and then the type of hospitals or the quality.
okay, if you had to pay cash in an American hospital, you would be in big trouble, because the amount of money, I'll give you an example, a CAT scan, a CT scan, how much was that? Pesos?
Like $200.
200 US dollars for a CAT scan. The machinery was a little bit older, probably like a second or third generation machine. And so it's not like top of the line equipment. It still works good. And then I had a ultrasound too, and I noticed the ultrasound machine was kind of like a relic. It was older. So everything works. It's just that the equipment isn't state of the art. And if you could show this room kind of needs a paint job. It's I don't know. It's not, I wouldn't say dirty. They keep it clean in here.
Yeah, it's clean.
It's just like old school. They got some old ratty looking air conditioner in the window. The public hospitals over here, that's the ones you don't want to wind up in a public hospital over here, because they got plastic chairs out in the parking lot, and it seems like there's more people waiting. Money talks.
Yeah.
If you got money, you can get into a private hospital. If you get stuck at a public hospital, if you run out of money or something, so it's always good to have money set aside for emergencies. In case you have a accident, you're in a trike or a jeepney, anything can happen. You get hit by a car, step on a sea urchin, get bit by a sneeze snake, I can't even talk, get bit by a beautiful Filipino. You never know what can happen to you in the Philippines. I don't know. All right, let me stop talking.
So are you very thankful to this too?
My God, I don't have to do a thing. They're in here cleaning a room. Bobby, are you hungry? I got no worries. That's the thing. I was paralyzed in the United States, and it was super. I've been in a long distance relationship. We'll talk about that, I guess, in a minute, with my wife now for about how many years? 5?
Yeah. 5.
It's going on 5 years. But when I was living in the United States, I had a CNA, certified nurse's assistant, that was supposed to come over 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, to help me out with like laundry, because the wash machine and dryer was in the basement. So got to go downstairs, or it was like a couple miles down the road. If I was going to take it to pay quarters to use the wash machine and dryer, it was a couple miles away. And I wasn't driving, so I need somebody to do my grocery shopping. But those people weren't showing up. What they were doing is they were cooking the books. They would get a bunch of contracts for multiple different people, and they would only show up at a couple people's houses. Like the girl that was taking care of me, she was working 105 hours a week is what she was getting paid for. And that's like literally impossible. How are you going to work 105 hours a week? She would go there, set up an account with an older person. This is the bad part about it. She would set up an account with an older person, and anytime that person would call and complain, she would go there immediately, clean up their house or cook them a meal, and then leave and never go back until the person would call them again and complain. And this person didn't realize their insurance company was getting billed for a set amount of hours a week. So the difference between being in a wheelchair and having health problems, come to the Philippines, the Filipino women are just outstanding. That's why there's a lot of Filipina nurses around the world. They come from good families, got good morals and values, are brought up, I would say, correctly, and the family taking care of people and looking out for somebody is their number one character trait, I would say.
So as being a wife to Bobby, so what can you tell us, Bobby, as a husband?
What can I
Like,
tell?
I can tell, like what?
Like what can you tell Bobby, like personality of Bobby, or are you being thankful that you've been married to Bobby?
Yeah, of course, because like I don't know, I'm not studying like medical school like that, right? And then I know how to. I'm scared, like that's my fear, needle. But like I overcome that, and then like a little bit, I know how to like change the indwelling catheter, right?
Yeah.
Indwelling catheter. I feel like I am no others.
Yeah, I was learning how to be a wound care nurse, changing
wound care.
changing the aqua silver and then the duoderm and like all the bandages and stuff.
Yeah, and then I told Bobby that I overcome my fear of needle. Before I can't see, like nurse, like they're going to put needle on the arm like that and get the blood. I can't see, but now like, oh, I'm not scared. I'm not scared looking, but if you're going to
If you're going to get it done to yourself, that's a different story. I saw that the other day when they were putting a needle in the back of my hand for the IV. Isla was staring at it, looking right at the needle going in.
I'm not scared.
I was surprised because when I first came to the Philippines 11 months ago, Isla looked at that needle and almost want to pass out.
Yeah. Can you tell them
She
the
got
story?
over her fear.
The story
Yeah,
about
the
the
story.
needle, that I am freaking out because you're going to, there's a pimple, blackheads, I think.
Huh?
There's a blackheads on my face, and then you want to like poke that so that the
Oh,
black
yeah. Isla had a zit and I was going to poke it with the needle.
Yeah.
And she freaked out. The needle couldn't come nowhere near her face.
Yeah, actually most of the Filipinos
Scared of
have,
needles.
Like, scared of that.
Yeah.
And then I'm glad that you overcome those
Yeah.
fears. Because me also, I had like, you know, a fears of that. But when I entered the room of a medical,
Okay.
I just decided to, overcome that fear.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us, assisting your sister here with Bobby? Miss
Ray Ray.
Ray.
I will help her. Like she told me last night, because like Bobby last night, like he is not feeling good. Like he is dizzy. I think, Bo, you feel dizzy.
Yeah, I had like an episode of vertigo.
Yeah.
They laid me back in the bed real quick, and I had been sitting up for a long time. And the room started to spin. I got tunnel vision, and I thought I was going to pass out. And I started having trouble breathing. I started yelling, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. I wanted them to sit me back up. Oh, it was bad. That's the first time that ever happened to me in my entire life.
Yeah, and then he's holding Bobby's like here the pillow, because the doctor is trying to check the bed, sure. And then he is holding the head. Ray is holding here on Bobby's head, and then like Bobby is like freaking. What did you say, Bo? What is that?
I started
Put me
freaking.
back?
I started freaking out. I said,
Yeah.
"Sit me up,
Oh,
sit
yeah.
me up. I can't
And
breathe."
then Ray, like she's panicking, like she almost passed out. Like she said, "Oh my God, I'm not feeling good." And then she don't know how to crack the bed. Like she don't know what to do. Because
They didn't know which lever to squeeze. This thing
Yeah.
had like a red lever. You squeeze it, and then you have to physically. It's not a crank handle. It's not electric. You have to squeeze the red handle and then lift the bed up yourself. You have
Yeah.
to physically lift the bed up. So I couldn't figure out how to sit the bed back up. Meanwhile, from laying flat, I thought I was going to pass out. So I was talking real loud.
Wow, so thank you so much, Ray, for helping your sister, and then
Ray saved the day.
save the day. So I will gonna end this interview. So thank you so much, everyone, for letting me interview you. So may I ask what is your channel, so that our viewers know what is your channel?
We have a name. The channel name is Bobby's Angels. Go check it out. It's got a little bit of everything. It's a LDR relationship. Me back in New Jersey, New York area, and then a trip coming here to the Philippines, and then the last 11 months in the Philippines with my beautiful wife Isla, Ray LeBarn, my sister-in-law, and Nixie, my other sister-in-law, has a channel, Miss Nix Nix Vlogs. So it's Miss MS period NIX Vlogs. Check her channel out too. She's got Bobby's Angels and Miss Nix Vlogs. Thank you guys.
Thank
So
you.
may I ask what is your plan to your channel, or what is your plan after this operation?
Just I'm working on a visa for Isla to come back to the United States. That's going to take a while, and hopefully get better. They're going to put a wound vac on the bed sore, stay on some antibiotics, just keep eating good, and just pray to God I'll be all right, and keep working on the visa process. And one day Isla will be in the United States, in New Jersey, and I'll go from there.
That's great.
Thank you for coming here.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I
thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much. Very
Pinky
appreciate
shake.
So thank you so much, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
So what I'm signing right here is, what I was talking about earlier in the video, you got to read over the forms, because they had the anesthesiologist's name on here, and I refused to sign the form, and this beautiful nurse here, Faith came back with the form, and now the name is not on the form. Because once you sign a form, legally they can charge you money for that anesthesiologist, whether she was in the operating room or not, because it's on paper, you signed it.